nga tso sido thoma de la kyap jik de nyamlin thema jik sigi. Nyamlin thema jik sidu thoma de la rawa tika mikpa dik kote jake la maa to inge la maa to teni te sarak kama kakhe chila ti mikpa dik kom tena te teni ti jila jubu sondab jindwa te ta puke ranga teni tong jana chori te tongda pachir tsama jik parwa jubu sondab rinpo te tsama ma puke gdada teni chajik tong te tong tsabi kapsu teni tampo wak mikpa parcho de go yorwa te hek sumke yapa tende chik thima dunsi teni tiki jini yanchar tena la ju sonto thunga jintwa te chik maando yang ti jini tenga na yin hek sumke parten re se pa chik thun dun tende chik si teni ti jisu yanchar la ju sonto thunga tsa chik tu uke dadan kani te ti na yin parcho te thima dun se rewa teni ti jini te sark dene jiwo kami te utu shene rang ma ten su sambasi te tsawa tang teni tana wapami mariko tsepami rang tsepami rinjor sa rang tsepami rinjor son sam ti jini tana tsepami la doba hyolo ka tindwa te lo kore teni ti jini chenyin ringate tang tongate ringate ca somza tongate ca ka xieje ta tendre sene te tangmo nga tso ma tingma je nyalnen sige.
So we will begin this afternoon session first by going through the Phowa practice together now as a group, reading through it together. And so first we will read through the visualization one time in Chinese, once in English. And then for a few minutes we will sit and meditate on the visualization, kind of get that clear in our minds. And then after that we will all recite the lineage prayer together, the long lineage prayer. That one we will only recite in Tibetan. We won't be reciting out loud in the respective languages, just once in Tibetan, the long lineage prayer. And then after that, then we will return in our minds to the visualization and do the stage of ejecting the consciousness by reciting hik 3 times, a total of 7 times. So 3 hiks, then we project the consciousness, repeat that 7 times in one round. And then when we've done 7 recitations of 3 hiks each, then we will recite the shorter lineage prayer one time. And then again we go back to the ejecting the consciousness with hik 3 times, then again hik 3 times, again hik 3 times, 7 times, like that. And then we go back, we do another recitation of the short lineage prayer. And then again we go back to doing the ejecting of consciousness with the hik recited 3 times, that done 7 times to eject the consciousness. And then following that, we again do the supplication. And then after the 3rd round of this, after we've done the shorter supplication and then the hik ejecting the consciousness, then we will visualize that Buddha Amitabha above the crown of our heads dissolves into ourselves, and we are transformed now into Buddha Amitayus, the Buddha of longevity. And then at the end of your text, there's a verse of Buddha Amitayus and a longer mantra and a shorter mantra. And we will do the long mantra 3 times and then several times the shorter mantra. So we'll do it all together like that.
저 값을 꼭 탱지가 차마 파당 거래. 바도 저 망가 봤으나 파당네 가스도 꼭 나는 저 렘바당 냠도 까다당도 기다 용거요 말에. 나는 저 ngop kapso ti ka sewan ro te sarak ti mukpadan che de go sare.
Yes, you are trying to get 3 hiks in one exhalation. You don't inhale between these 3 hik. So like as you're exhaling in one breath, one single out breath, you are saying hik 3 times, and after the 3rd time you project your consciousness up. And then with ka, immediately when you inhale, you're saying ka. So you won't really be able to say it like normally because you'll be inhaling. So it'll be on an in-breath, so it won't sound the same. But in your in-breath at the same time you say ka, and then you bring the consciousness back. So yes, the 3 hiks per out-breath. And then ka is the in-breath where you bring the consciousness back down.
等一下我们就开始一起共修婆瓦。那我们在共修的过程当中呢，我们先一起用中文以及英文各读一次观想的部分，然后大家花几分钟的时间静下心来禅修这个观想，然后我们再用藏文来念长轨的传承上师祈请文一次之后，再这个练习这个把明点射出去的这个动作，配合呼吸以及这个种子字这个 hik， 每一个吐气呢有 hik 3次来让我们练习把这个明点带到头顶。那一轮有7次，就是每一个吐气呢是3个 hik。这样子，然后吸气的时候嘎，再把那个明点带下来，这样来回总共一轮要7次，也就是有21个 hik。接下来我们再念藏文的短轨的传承上师祈请文，这个念完了之后呢，那么大家再重复这个引导这个明点的这个动作，一个吐气是 hik 3次，那么在吸气的时候再念 ga， 这样来回重复7次，是在另一轮。这一轮结束之后，再回头去念短轨的传承上师祈请文，念完之后再来做这个引导这个明点的这个动作，一样是一次一个吐气是3次 hik。那吸气的时候是 ga， 这样来回总共7次，这样是又一轮。之后呢，再来观想这个头顶的阿弥陀佛，融入我身，那我身就转化成长寿佛。之后呢，再念这个最后一页的这个长寿佛的祈请文，然后长寿佛的长的咒3次，然后再长寿佛短的咒许许多多次。最后再做回向，所以这个就是等一下我们要做的共修的一个步骤。刚刚有一个疑问说，要澄清，要确定是不是在吐气的时候来念 hik， 然后吸气的时候念 ga， 那回答是对的。
teni kachiya tse kararida sena namgyo marang tsoko long te tewo la zong tel te sar ke chik zupu te se hyongdo yo pa sini dego yore pa lu lu ko sena chik se dewa mayin pa te se hyongdo chan long te tena tewo la zong rewa te la mekpa zupu ka yang long zong ala chik sen ka yang long tena yo samba chik te ni tenre chik tapa te long te tewo la zong dewa chik 전주지 고사래. 대오다나. 다당아 좀 포하게 냠는데 자롱당 중수연 저와 요래. 자롱 나대사 근저완다고 연구 요래 뒤선나된 예담 도제 파모라 되는 포 장고 그 중심 된다 인사래.
So another thing I wanted to say, a clarification, is that we talk about the importance of holding the prana at the navel center, and you have to kind of focus a little bit. There's a little bit of effort and focus required. It's not like you want to be just too relaxed that you're just kind of not paying attention to your body, but actually you really want to kind of keep a sense of focus that like the breath, the prana is being held almost like in like below the navel center. And like with your mind, your body, you want to also kind of push your body a little to kind of sustain that prana, to sustain that breath in that location right below your navel center. And with your mind also, you want to kind of keep the awareness of that breath, the prana being kind of held there. So you see that Phowa practice has a little bit of a relation with the Tsalung practice. And that's another reason why in the visualization for Phowa, you have the main yourself arising as Vajravarahi also for that connection. Tsalung, yeah.
那我们在做这个破瓦练习的时候，我们事实上要把这个气，这个 prana 的宝瓶气是放在这个脐轮下面、密轮上面那个地方的。在练习这个的时候，有一种常犯的错误，就是你自己太放松了，没有去注意力。我们是应该要有这个注意力，然后就是这个在这个脐轮下面跟密轮这中间。那从这边呢，我们可以看出来这个破瓦的练习跟修习气脉的练习是有相关的，这就是为什么是有这个金刚亥母在这边这个出现的原因。
OK， 开始了啊，先中文啊。
刚刚有一个地方忘了翻，就是刚刚讲说吸气的时候是嘎，那因为吸气的时候你要再发嘎可能不是那么容易，所以一开始的时候这个声音是跟我们平常发的这个嘎是不见得是会一样的。
Om Swabhava Shuddha Sarva Dharma Swabhava Shuddhaham。
如是当我说此语时，将汝众之意熟生血肉运躯执实之，分别执着心之主观，以非实有之信心，化为空性之圣解，由空性中所化现，如众自身刹那间，转变成至尊金刚瑜伽母，生红宝石色之二面目，根本脸具贪欲之神韵，有三目，獠牙为肉，头发半束而垂散于后，以五干头饰之，右耳之上黑色珠帘发嚎叫声，右臂红铜弯刀高举于空，左持圣血如泣于心间，手肘有嘎张卡，左足弯曲碰触右胯连接处，以右脚拇指压至朝上仰翻房舍死尸之心间，垂挂50丝如环链， 红色绢帛于骨饰庄严，观身现无自性而明亮。于如是明现内部之中央有中脉，外蓝内红，中空犹如理空之子，颜色粉红如紫梗花，内外明现如芝麻油灯，直立柔软如芭蕉茎，而具足四性相。粗细约中等足见，上端泛血，下端密处扎入之，心尖处以结额尖之上，红色四瓣莲花花蕊上，自身意识之自性一红色明点，大小约如豌豆，要动不定而明亮，如是观想明现。头顶中脉上端泛血开口之处，本性根本上师形象阿弥陀佛，身红色具化身半饰，着三法衣，相好庄严，于珍宝宝座上，以弥勒坐之安住之，大拇指压至自身泛血，而周绕传承诸上师，如是观想清楚而念诵，一一上师名号祈请时，祈求诸上师宝加持己心绪，祈求得以熟练此甚深婆瓦之所缘。熟练后，祈求于何时死亡时，加持意识由泛血出行空行道，而往生西方极乐净土。心怀以连同尽信感戴之强烈渴望，一起念诵祈请文。
English now. From within the state of emptiness, I arise in a single instant as Vajra Yogini with two faces and a body the color of rubies. My main face has a passionate expression with 3 eyes and slightly bared fangs. Half of my hair is bound in a top knot and the rest hangs freely down my back. I wear a diadem of 5 dried skulls, and above my right ear is the black face of a grunting sow. In my right hand I hold aloft towards the sky a hooked knife made of copper. With my left I hold at my heart level a skull cup filled with blood, and a kadwanka resting against the crook of my arm. My left leg is bent up with the foot resting against my right thigh, and my right leg is straight as I press down with my toes on the heart of a yellow horse lying on his back. A necklace of 50 freshly severed heads is draped around my neck. I am adorned with red silks and bone ornaments. My body appears, yet is without substantial nature. Along the central meridian of its interior is the central channel, which is blue on the outside, red on the inside, and endowed with the 4 characteristics. It is about the diameter of a medium-sized arrow. The upper part extends to the aperture of the Brahma, and the lower reaches to the secret place. At the heart level, on a ledge similar to the nodal diaphragm found in bamboo, is a 4-petaled red lotus. On its bed is the essence of my own awareness as a red sphere about the size of a single pea. It is light and vibrating and on the verge of flying up. At the crown, the upper part of the central channel opens up
to the aperture of Brahma like a domed skylight. Above that is the essence of my own root Dharma in the form of Buddha Amitabha. He is red in color, appearing in Nimanakaya aspect with the 3 Dharma robes and ornamented by the major and minor marks. He sits on a jewel throne in the posture of Buddha Maitreya, with his leg pictures blocking the opening of the aperture of Brahma at my crown. He is surrounded by all the lineage lamas.
Beman june la sorvan de sablam povan jongwar sinji lo nyolam poven kaju dubar sinji lo dason de ne zempu jurmada deva jendo javar sinji lo sanje opa mela janza lo Tedonya da sanje la sorvande sablam povan jongwar sinje lo kaju dubar sinje lo dazon dene zempu jurmada deva jendo jevar sinje lo sanje oba mela jangzar lo Tsome namka jamsen la sorvande Sablam povan jungwar sinji lo Nyolam povin kaju dubar sinji lo Dazon dene zempu jurmada Dewa jindu jevar sinji lo Sanje oba mela jansa lo Tode sangha badala sorvande salam povan jungwar sinji lo nyolam poven kaju dubar sinji lo dason dene zempu jurmada dewa jendo jevar sinji lo sanje oba mela jangsa lo Pagu me lo la sorvande salam povan jungwar sinji lo nyolam poven kaju dubar sinji lo dasan dene zempu jurmada dewa jendo jevar sinji lo sanje oba mela jangsa lo Jeje sanje jansen la sorvande sablam povan jongwar sinji lo nyolam poven kaju dubar sinji lo dasan dene sempe jurmada dewa jindu jewar sinjilo sanje oba mela jansalo Tome Madin Zenjela Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Katyu Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Oba Mela Jansalo Yonzen Punso Namjarla Sorvande Sablam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmata Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Kenje Namjom Punso La Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Jaja Koncho Rana La Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Renzen Chuje Dabala Sovande Salam Pova Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Konjon Trenle Namjala Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Konjon Trenle Zambola Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Tenle Dondra Chujala Sorvande Salam Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Konjo Dinzen Rondula Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Dasan Dene Zempu Jurmada Dewa Jindu Jewar Sinjilo Sanje Opa Mela Jansalo Yonzen Chuje Jansen La Sorvande Salam Povan Jungwar Sinjilo Nyolam Poven Kaju Dubar Sinjilo
다산데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제왈 신제로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 땡자인 주제 니마라 소르완데 살람 보완 용월 신제로 가ጆ도발 신제로 다선데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신제로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 잡다 베메 잠첸라 솔완데 살람 보완 용월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가ጆ도발 신지로 다선데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 예전 다르마 단자라 소르완데 살람 보와 뇨람 보웬 가주드발 신지로 다손데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제왈 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 가제 장초 원보라 소르완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가주드발 신지로 다선데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 제젠로 제잔센라 소완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가주드발 신지로 다선데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 렌첸 템pen 제jan라 소르완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가주드발 신지로 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 간자 토지 니마라 소완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가조도발 신지로 다손데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 오제네덴 도제라 소완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 가져드발 신지로 다산데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 예전 근처 주자라 소완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가조도발 진지로 다손데네 젬페 겨마다 대와 젠도 제월 신지로 산제 오바 메라 장살로 덴조 주제로 드라 소르완데 살람 보완 종월 신지로 뇨람 보웬 가조도발 신지로 Dason dene sempe jormada Dewa jendo jewar sinjilo Sangye woba mela chansalo Thubten shewe lodru la sorvande Salam povan jungwar sinjilo Kadyo dobar sinjilo Dasan dene zempe jormado Dewa jindu jewar sinjilo Sangye woba mila chansalo Tsome chujen jone la sorvande Sablam povan jongwar sinjilo Nyolam poven kadyo dobar sinjilo Dason dene zempe jormado Dewa jendo jewar sinjilo Sangye woba mela chansalo Tenchen sawe lama la sorvande Salam povan jongwar sinjilo Nyolam poven kadyo dobar sinjilo Zembe jormado Dewa jendo jewar sinjilo Sangye woba mela chansalo Ojen peman jone la sovande Salam povan jongwar sinjilo Nyolam poven kadyo dobar sinjilo Zempe jormada Dewa jendo jewar sinjilo Sanje oba mela chansarlo Terdo nyeda sanje la sorvande Tsome nanka jensen la sorvande Todin sangha badra la sorvande Pago teme lode la sorvande Chuje sanje jansen la sorvande Tsome matin senjen la sorvande Yongzen punso namja la sorvande Kenje namjoron punso la sorvande Jebsen koncho rana la sorvande Renzen chuje dropa la sorvande Konchon chile namja la sorvande Konchon chile zambo la sorvande Tenle tondra chuja la sorvande Kuncho Tenzen Sorvande Yonzen Chuje Jensen La Sorvande Tenzen Chuje Nimolo Sorvande Chabda Peme Jansen La Sorvande Jezen Dharma Danza La Sorvande Gajen Chancho Wambo La Sorvande Rejen Lode Jensen La Sorvande Renchen Temben Zejen La Sorvande Concho Toje Nyema La Sorvande Oje Nuden Doje La Sorvande Jezen Concho Chuja La Sorvande Dencho Chuja Lode La Sorvande Thubten Sheve Lode La Sorvande Tsome Chujen June La Sorvande Trenchen Tsawe Lama La Sorvande Salam Phowa Jungwa Nyolam Phowen Kaju Dubar Sinjilo Da Son Dene Zempe Jormada Dewa Jendo Jewar Jinjilo Sangye Opa Mela Chansalo Again, one more time, short supplication.
短轨传承祈求再一次第8页第9页中间。
O jem beman jone la sovande salam phowan jongwar sinjilo nyolam phowen kajo dobar sinjilo dason dene zempe jarmada dewa jendo jewar sinjilo Sangye opa mela changsalo Tedo nyeda sangye la sorvande Tsome namka jensen la sorvande Todin sangha bodra la sorvande Pago dremi lodre la sorvande Chuje sanje jensen la sorvande Tsome madin zenjen la sorvande Yongzen punso vande Kenche nanjom punso la sorvande Yezan koncho rana la sorvande Renzhen chuje drapa la sorvande Kanjon chele namjo la sorvande Kanjon chele zambo la sorvande
tenle tondra chujala sorvanda concha tenzen rondo la sorvanda yonzen chuje jenzen la sorvanda tenzen chuje nyama la sorvanda Jabda beme jamsen la sorvanda Gyabzan dharma danza la sorvanda Gachen sancho vambo la sorvanda Gensen la sorvanda Renchen tenpun zechen la sorvanda Kancho toji nyema la sorvanda Ujin udin toji la sorvanda Yedzang kancho chuja la sorvanda Dencho chuja lodru la sorvanda Thubten shava lodru la sorvanda Tome chujen june la sorvanda Trenchen zawe lama la sorvanda Sablam phowan jungwar sinji lo Katyo drubar sinji lo Dason dene tempe jarmata Dewa chendu jewar sinji lo Sanje oba mela jansa lo Translation Amitabha 之所知
消融长寿佛
Me and Vajrayogini is transformed to Amitabha.
大家观想自身转化成阿弥达于长寿佛。
Om Namo Bhagavate Aparamita Ayurjana Sambhana Siddha Tenzo Ranzai Tatangataya Arhati Samya Sambuddhaya Dayata Om Paya Paya Mahapaya Aparamita Paya Jan Sambharo Bhajada Om Sava Sankara Parishade Dharmat Gangana Samangade Sobhavam Bhashad Mahanaya Paravare Soha
Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayurjan Sambhana Zada Tenzo Ranjaya Tathangataya Arharte Samya Sambuddhaya Teyata Om Peye Peye Mahabeye Aparamita Peye Aparamita Peye Jan Sambharo Bhajada Om Sarva Sankara Parishad Dharmada Gangana Samengade Sobhav Bhajade Mahanaya Paravari Soha Om Nam Aparemeta Ayurjana Sambhana Zede Tenzo Ranjaya Tathangataya Arhate Samya Sambuddhaya Tayata Om Paya Paya Mahabaya Aparemeta Paya Aparemeta Paya Jana Sambharo Bhajade Om Sava Sankara Parishade Dharmada Gangana Samengat Swabhava Bhajade Mahanaya Paravari Soha Om Amarana Zvindaye 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 Soha Zvindaye Soha Om Amarana 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 Zvindaye Soha Gevande Yinyudu Da Zeba Mengonda Zonda Jone Dova Jijamaluba Daya Salango Basho
Nyamnisidan Teri, Twinchi Nyamnisidan. Dadong de Pacho, the Maru dance and Choyo, the Tsuyona.
So that's how you would practice for one session's practice. Of course, you could do more of the parchok, that is the ejecting of consciousness, as many rounds as you like, depending on your time. But that's anyway the general format of how you do the practice.
所以刚刚我们已经练习了一堂大概婆瓦法的修习法。那当然，你若时间足够的话，你可以重复中间那个引导这个明点的那个部分，再多重复几次。
到底有的呢，这把没把拉错的就很多，拉错的就我就买的它，这把没把就把了，就过了。
In your practice, in the last page in the Amitabha's practice, the dedication prayer, in the English phonetics, they wrote Teba Megun Hlatsol Drupgyurne, but you don't need to say Hlatsol, you just say Teba Megun Drupgyurne. The Hlatsol is not necessary there, so that word Hlasok, it means like gathering of deities, but you don't need to say that. You just say, may I quickly attain the state of Buddha Amitayus and place all beings into that state. So the Tsepa Megun, that word Hlasok, Lhatshog, you can take that out when you say it. It means retinue of deities, but he's saying it shouldn't be in here. It should be like this. Tsepa Megun Drukyarni. It's not in the translation, but it's in the phonetics in English. Long do it. Lama Gabe Rinpoche heard some people saying Hlasok, so that's why he caught that. Sometimes if you're like doing a special Amitayus practice, then you have the whole like retinue of Amitayus and his deities. In that case, then when you dedicate the merit from that practice, you may want to say Tseba Megun Hlasok, etc. But in this case, you're just visualizing yourself singularly as Amitayus. There's no gathering of deities. So that's why when you dedicate here, you don't need to say Tseba Megun Hlasok Drukyarne. Just say Tseba Megun Drukyarne.
在看中文的法本的第10页最后那一行，切巴美棍足就内第2句应该是切巴美棍足就内，这样就可以了。它的意思是树正护主长寿佛，拉错的意思是天众的意思，就是他的眷属。一般我们在观修长寿佛的时候，或许会观修长寿佛的眷属，但是在这边呢，主要修婆瓦的时候是我们自己能够成就长寿佛，所以是没有眷属的。所以在最后一行的第2句，切巴美棍足就内是藏音，所以把中间那个哈拉错把它划掉。然后中文的翻译树正护主长寿佛，把天众给划掉。
你把人啊挺多，这把没事呢，这1000多种呢，有的吧？三节个送个1000多节有的，这那顶下的三节个顶下的送的，他这平用100万不送有的，当我那的1000多节这个在那的1000多种跟下的嘛都过3马里上平用万不送有的，他东那平用有送有的，在马在可能马吉那平用有，可能个送下的康巴那有的把咱们去。平用100万不有送有的，这几步嘛的，这个只把家呀当，当着一个安全了顶下的扎那样，各种人送的的没job 头个的，这送平用万不送1000多呢。
That longer mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita Ayugyana Supinischittate, that one, you know, the longer one before the shorter Amitayus mantra, that longer mantra isn't specifically just a long mantra of Amitayus. It's one of the major longevity Dharani mantras from the Sutra of Amitayus, the Longevity Sutra of the words of Buddha. And that mantra, that long mantra of long life, is amazingly powerful and has tremendous blessings. It's found in the Tendo. The Tendo is the Sutra of immeasurable longevity, immeasurable wisdom. It's from the Buddha. And the benefits of reciting this mantra are so manifold. Not only are the benefits just in reading it out loud, but even if you write it, if you scribe this mantra, the benefits are amazing. And not only just in extending your life, of course, but also many other benefits as well. For example, even if you have like this longevity sutra, the Tendo and the mantra here, that's all in the Longevity Sutra. That's where it's found repeated. Even if you have this just in your own house, the benefits of just keeping this prayer in your house are amazing. The blessings of this practice. And the benefits are so great that even those who hear the sound of that mantra being recited, if you recite that Longevity Dharani mantra, Om Namo Bhagavate Aparimita, that one, if you recite that to the sound and the animals hear the sound of that mantra, it can actually protect them from falling to the lower realms after they die. So many benefits of that mantra.
《 至于中间我们有念的长寿佛的部分，那个前面的长咒的部分，那这个咒语不只是指长寿佛，它是从这个长寿经上面无量寿智佛经里面出来的。这个咒语有非常大的威力，有许许多多的利益，不只是你看这个咒语，你读诵这个咒语，甚至你写这个咒语，都有许多的功德利益的。那即使是你在家里有这个长寿的这个咒语的话，也能够带来许多的利益跟这个加持。尤其你听这个咒音也是有很大的好处的，甚至是出生道的众生，当他们听到这个咒音的时候，他们可以免于他们将来堕于三恶道之苦。
他听那意思呢，南军这样做的。Phowa jango kapsu ti na nyamli si. Tani karsi yang tutsu tong tong ma to me. Te tawo se ne chik loyal tab dewo me na. Ngone se na mikpa chi bo ka cho yo re. Tambo te se de me ram tata kong ni lo ba ti na yin chik sam no ta. Tani la ju son de ti na yin chik re yin do lo to ko ma ta na yi ji go ni tani. Yo pa Lama tam che lo so wa ta. Temi dongchuk trapu ku goni so wata. Tene tiki jisu ti par choka me pata se. Tenchu se pa tsamche ren de yore, choka yore. Yena ta te choka re se na chuni dongo mare se pa yo ti karisa kuro. Lelong rawa wange. Tenchu se na yang tutsu yo, longkong yo, te loya ka te tab de on ro yo ko yo tab de on ro yo tende na de na yi ma je dang bo lo tende se na da ya ge re.
This is how you would want to do the practice on your own time, regularly maintaining your practice of this phowa. And yet sometimes you may be in situations in which you really don't have a lot of time to go through reading through the entire practice, or you might be in a situation like maybe due to the people around you, it's not exactly comfortable for you to just start doing like reciting of a prayer and doing the practice out loud, and that might not work. So in that case, what you can do so that you can maintain like the continuity of your practice is you can just go through in your mind the visualization, just like we started by reading out loud the visualization, then we took a moment and we meditated on that visualization. So if you can't read the text, you don't have a lot of time, or for whatever reason it's not exactly appropriate for you to be actually reading out loud through the text in that time, then you can just take a moment, sit and just reflect on the visualization and just bring yourself back to that visualization that you remember from the text. And then if you can't say the lineage prayer, supplication out loud, or you don't have the time, then it's sufficient for you to just bring to mind all the lineage lamas and then supplicate them in your mind with powerful faith, devotion, and longing. And with this, then you pray in your mind for their blessings to become adept at the phowa. And then following that, you can do the visualization of ejecting your consciousness without doing the actual recitation. You can visualize all of that and go through all the stages of the practice in your mind. That is not, not totally wrong. If there's a need for you to do it like that, you can. Now, that being said, don't take that as, an excuse to just not bother with going through the whole practice. Or let's say you have the time, there's no reason why you wouldn't be able to recite the whole text, and you don't have any excuse as for your environment being not supportive of you to do the practice. Then if you have all of the conditions, then it's better if you can actually read through the text and do the recitations. You don't want to do it as an excuse because of laziness. So as long as that's the case, then it's best if you can read through the text. But there is that allowance. If there's a case requiring it, then you can do it in your mind.
在自己有空的时候呢，就可以像刚刚的模式来练习这个破瓦法。那如果说你是因为时间的关系或其他的因素没有办法从头到尾全部来念，或者是周围的人 你这样子念高声念出来的话，他们会不高兴或者是不适合的时候，那么你可以在心中来默默的来观想刚刚我们一开始用念的这个部分观想的文，然后在心中再念传承上师祈请文。如果你没有办法记住的话，你也可以观想对于这个破瓦传承上师发起无比的虔诚心、踊跃心，然后祈请他们的加持。之后呢，再来用观修的方式来练习这个牵示的这个牵以明点的这个动作，这样的话也是可以，也有同样的这个功用的。但当然，如果说你有时间的话，你不可以把这个拿当做借口而来怠惰，就不去练了。就是你有时间的话，最好的还是要这个朗读出来的，来这样子来练习。如果有适当，特别是有适当的这种机缘的时候，应该是正式的这样念诵出来，这样是当然是更好的。
Tibetan Buddhism Thubten Jisu Tambo de la Tesaraka Duntra Jengi Sala Tesaraka Zunjun Rawas in Yanguri. Then Puagata Jung Sava Jisu, then in Mabji Sam said in a Choyore. Jimas on some Tabaya Jin Sondra. Yamare, Tapa Yongomadona, Yaman on the Thunjun Raw. Oh, Rapsona Yamare relata me part Timare Sena, Jin Sondra was in Tapar Corantela Comrade Rover. Tadam poor young Savatung around Sugi Zadrak Goni, Zadrak Kangajin Chepu Capsu, Rosak Langa Judiana, Yinji Chagayoro. Then to Tatan, Lam de la Junga Yapo, to your party Sedena. Then the Zadrate Kaduyong Shigamara, Lamsan in the Trucho Chonda, Langa Judiana, Yinji. Then it Lam de la Chuni Jumena, Zadan Chepu Capsu, the Trusana and Trushigamare.
Once you have received the Phowa transmissions as you have, then in the beginning you should be diligent for 1 or 2 weeks, really doing the practice diligently and applying yourself as much as possible to this practice. But after that, you will have received the signs, and once the signs come, the signs of accomplishing, then as long as you just never forget the practice, that's enough. In other words, you don't have to be as stringent about actually doing the practice as much as before, but you still want to maintain it so that you don't forget. The point is to remember, to remind yourself continuously. If you can, just one time reviewing the visualization daily or at least every 2 days. The point is, the reason why we are training in the Phowa is so that we become experienced with it and familiarized with it. Because the thing is that we don't want to wait until it's an emergency situation and there's total, chaos and desperation, and then suddenly we have to try to remember it, because we want to make sure that it's really strongly in our minds, so that when that time comes, when that time of emergency situation comes, we're just ready to apply the practice without hesitation. And it's kind of like if we familiarize ourselves with the escape routes now, then when the emergency evacuation plan is ready to be used, then we don't have to wander around in a state of chaos and panic, wondering where do we go, we're not sure. But rather, in the beginning, if we familiarize ourselves with all the exit routes and then we know exactly where we're going, we really make a path, make an evacuation route, then when that moment hits us of emergency chaos, we need to evacuate, we know exactly where to go, we can just go there as we have prepared ourselves. But otherwise, if we wait until there's that emergency and we don't really know clearly exactly where we want to exit, we don't have a strong evacuation plan in place, then it's a little more difficult. So that's why we want to make sure that we keep it fresh in our minds for that reason. che je mason samji prana si tapa trenso tanya che che nima tapa nima re la tema re migren so semna ya trenso tong ta che da ti matuna nima nyeri nyeri so yeah so what best would be every day familiarize yourself or every 2 days just try to
okay. 当然，现在大家都已经接受到了破瓦的这个口传、跟教授、跟练习了，所以从现在开始，你们可以每天练习1-2次，一直到你得到这个征兆为止。那如果说你有收到这个征兆之后，你还是继续保任的话，能够不忘失这个破瓦的这个练习，继续练习，这个是很好的。你能够每天练，或者是2天练，隔天这样练1次。主要的用意是在让我们自己变得对破瓦的这个过程跟练习非常非常的熟悉，不要等到紧急的状况，但非常混乱的状态，或者是非常这个无助的状态之下，你要用也用不出来了。这个是应该是我们要熟悉到在随时随地随处，不管外面的状况如何紧急或如何的这个紧张呢，都可以用得出来。这个就好像我们平常做的防空演习一样，我们很熟悉紧急逃生门的这种路径，要在哪个地方，要往哪边走，要从哪边走比较好。那平常练习多了，熟悉了，在紧急的时候很从容的可以疏散。那如果说每个人不太知道这个房子的结构，也不知道逃生的路径的话，到紧急的事情时间状况发生的时候，就会慌乱一团。
다 되게 나랑 좀 보아 이해봐 가장송 보아 이해봐디 다말반도 희숨딩 보아서 와대 나랑 준냥 다다 양고야 보아 데려와 너 희숨 세나지 자와말라 랑거 너시 디 남바르 히바 틀레텔란 롬포건 너시 교바 메텔은 롬본도 로사가 내가 너시 단 희숨딩 보아 데리 다 되게 지라 보아 나바디 힘보 진진 투지 자주금 보아서 와디 콜레테스 마히야나.
So this was the 4th type of Phowa. I gave you a list of 5 different classifications of Phowa, and this has been the teachings on the 4th type of Phowa, which is known as the Phowa practice for ordinary individuals that incorporates the 3 perceptions. And that was, again, the perception of your central channel as the pathway, the perception of your consciousness, that sphere of consciousness, as the traveler, and the perception of Buddha Amitabha above the crown of your head as the destination. Those are the 3 perceptions. So after that, I wanted to say a little bit about the 5th type of Phowa, which is the Phowa called the hook of compassion for taking care of the deceased. So that's the Phowa that you do on behalf of somebody else who is deceased.
所以以上这个我们今天所练习这个就是第4种的破瓦，就是自修的，也就是凡夫3见的这种破瓦。那所谓的3见呢，指的是中脉是旅途之道，那么我们的意识就是旅客，阿弥陀佛就是我们的目的地，那这个就是这个3见了，那就是平常我们自己自修的这个破瓦。那我还要花一点时间来跟大家讲一下第5种的破瓦是什么，就是大悲勾招的这种破瓦，就是可以帮往生的人来做的这种破瓦。
다 이나 보아 대법갑서나 오늘은 다 이나 보안데 야데 레라오지 리마도 돈람지 딘보 마톰나 힘볼람 보아 땀나야 벤토 더 옆에 깔래 가버릴 정도가 대송요리 된데 담포하자네 아직 타버살고 더야때 때서 깔래 가보 인사래 레라오지 리마도 옛날야 오늘 전에 그 학산 남다 빈신 해미 그 고니 지로바직 세야나 tel라지 노바다 자 요즘 말에 대서 그 치수 좀 같이 비나마도 노바세나 자 요즘 말에 저때 군롱라라래도 군롱 넘버 답은 오늘 전에 그 빈신 tel라 제선 란동 그 레촌이 많이 빠지 그다 대요고 받을 까지 버리자 당고
So when you are performing Phowa for somebody else, actually speaking, to really do Phowa for someone else, it's not at all easy. In fact, it is said that if you have not seen the true nature of reality and reached the path of seeing, equivalent to the first Bodhisattva Bhumi realization, then even if you try to do Phowa for someone who's dying, it's very difficult for you to actually benefit them and actually bring them to liberation. That's very unlikely if you have not yourself reached that state of realization. And so, however, that being said, if you have a truly genuine, like, purest motivation and you just really want to help that person and you really truly care about them and you have absolutely zero self-interest mixed into the matter and you just really from your heart just loving and caring for them and wanting to help them, then if you do Phowa for them, it certainly can't hurt and it could maybe bring some sort of benefit, because what matters most is your motivation, and you have a really pure motivation, not polluted by any selfishness whatsoever or self-agenda, and is really genuinely you want to help that person's consciousness, then there will be some benefit. Definitely won't harm them, at least.
那么，我们第五种这个大悲勾招的这种破瓦呢，我们帮别人修破瓦的这一个方式，事实上是非常的不容易的。因为除非我们已经证到的见到位，也就是等于初地菩萨的这个境界的话，很难是真正为这个亡者有什么样的利益的。可是如果说你一片赤诚之心，对亡者有纯正的发心，心中升起无比的慈爱心的话，想要一心一意的利益他，而不是没有一点自私自己的这个成分在里面的话，那为他们修破瓦也是会有一些利益跟帮助的。
你新波兰破瓦教个就村着我呢，他我钱嘛钱，真的这个搞不。他这样去加工破个教就村得一下，等你你们看现着真的怕钱，等你当破教呢，平头用啊，他这把头把那拉皮个嘛的。Now he turns over the corner, takes the eye of the mato, the Phowa Jaliku to Tundra with the Yutsasai.
There is a specific time if you're going to do Phowa for someone who is dying that the Phowa has to be done in a specific window of time, and that's right at the point where the breath. So it's when like the outer breath has already stopped, but the internal prana, the internal breath is like just on the verge of stopping. There's a very specific window of time, and that's where you need to do the Phowa. Because if you wait like a few days after the person dies, even if you do Phowa, it's not going to do anything because you would have already missed that crucial point in which the Phowa would work. Unless, of course, you are somebody who has already accomplished mastery of the siddhis, and then if you have the power of realization, you can find their consciousness and invoke it and draw it back into the body. And that's a different story, but for everyone else, there's a specific time in which you want to do Phowa, and if you miss that time, then you miss the window to do the Phowa.
至于修破瓦的时刻的这个是有很精确的时刻的，就是在当外呼吸已经停止，而内息即将止息的时候，这个时候就是修破瓦的时间。那在为他人修破瓦的时候，你太久了之后，你若等了几天之后再修的话，是没有太大的作用。除非你这个当亡者修破瓦的是一个非常大的一个成就者，透过他的禅定等等的功夫呢，可以找到亡者的神识，把他勾回来，然后再帮他修破瓦。所以这个时刻是修破瓦的时机也是要注意的。
就当他我前马这个破瓦家就得但是来老王着，因不就是这大可能是本来扎人有的。 Ti kapsu te le lawa sen kalon de jor lawon de chahasare. Pena nga so shindong go ni shinto che ma ko go na rwa. Te ta ko che min yin ba ga kapsu te ma ko ya le law yo ma re. Te ko tung ka min sa ga kapsu ta te shindong te le te tok jam sen ko long go yo rwa. Te na yin nam shi pe re te pa che dala nya wa ka ko po te dam na te sara ka te ta ka se tunde thunya le law re song do.
The reason why, or one reason why it is easier to succeed in doing the Phowa practice for somebody when their inner breath is just about to stop is because it's like much easier to kind of steer their consciousness where it needs to go at that time, because the consciousness is very, very like on the verge of leaving the body. So it's much more like mobile. It's ready to kind of leave the physical encapsulation of the body. And that's important because it's kind of like if you're going to pick a fruit off of a tree, right? And you're going to try to pick a fruit before it's ripe and it's just ripening, the stem is so strongly attached at that time to the branch that even if you pull the fruit, it's like you have to really pull hard. You can't get it off naturally. But if you wait till like the fall season and the fruit is already finished ripening and now it's just like on the verge of falling from the tree, even if you touch it, it just falls. It's like that with the consciousness when it's at that stage of the dissolution, it's at that stage of dying, then it's just ready to be taken from the body anyway. So then it's easier for signs of accomplishment and for success in the Phowa at that time.
So 为什么这个修Phowa的时机很重要的另外一个原因就是的时刻就是外呼吸已经停止了，内呼吸即将止息的时候，这个是修Phowa最好的时机。是为什么呢？因为在这个时候最容易引导这个亡者的神识，因为他的神识即将离开他的身体了。这就好像我们去摘树上的水果，如果这个果实还没有完全成熟，还没熟透的话，你在不对的季节要去摘，是它这个果实是牢牢黏住这个枝干的，你要摘是不是那么容易摘的？可是如果它已经在树上完全成熟了、熟透了，有的时候你轻轻一碰，它的水果就掉下来，是同样的道理。
Tibetan Buddhism dapat kapsu ina yang tata ngarang so ke mekpate rang la sartapa na yin parorpo tela teta ke mekore ngarang so ke teta mek koran la ti na yin ke te mekpate ko da tre gore ngarang so tata che gomja pa kapsu ti mekpate ma loba na yin cheranga te na yi sano tangore ti na yin mekore sen pa koran la ti ya trim song da de si rewa te na yin ngarang ka te na yi sano tang te neba de ta ma ni de yo na andra ngarang so ke mekpa si pa kapsu ya lang de wa na yi se mekpa si teni ka che shu tengone da na ke che gong do la ba na yin ke che pinsen le mi je ge go ni ze wa hyok chen bo je ge go ni te mekpa ti na yin je te ne teni tata ngarang na so ke jangwa na yin se ne ya ti kapsu ka te jo go mare hek sin hek ka hie ten ka hie ke ten se ne ya ko nam shi de sanje oba me la tembe ti sa ne se ten se ko re
ti kapsu so so ra ya de ta ki di
ngarang ti ko ti kanya sam go yo sa mare paro po te kang na me pa se ne tini da ja ka so korang ka sa ma na ti ngarang ti sam no me pa te ya ten se ne ya ro yo sam ba se ne ba ngarang me pa te korang ka so po ten se go re cha cha a ko so
ni pa na chi korang ji pa nam shi de dang so so ki nam shi de te chang go ma ra
ti ndi ka su ten de cha go cha song ma do
pena namgin ngarang so ta ke ra wo che yore ti ka so pharo ba ni ti mo pa de la pha jan sha ne ti yin di teni nga so den de te sa la chi
Rita, hey, the Jabu Kapsu, Rita to go, Yoda, to go, sorry.
So when you do Phowa for somebody else, then just like we have been doing the visualization here in the Phowa practice, but we've been visualizing it as ourselves. Now in the case of doing it for another person, now you just take that same visualization exactly, but only you are focusing now on the deceased person as appearing in that way. And when you are reciting it, you really are just reciting it on their behalf. And your visualization is now transferred onto visualizing them in that form and seeing their consciousness in their central channel and all of that. So, but the visualization's the same, only you're not doing any self-visualization because you're not even thinking about yourself at all. You're just focused on that person, and so all the focus of the visualization is on that person. And then when you are also doing it, you should tell that person what you're doing and try to have them be familiar with and understanding the visualization too, like so that they can kind of just say to them, okay, I'm going to be, reciting this Phowa and this is what I'm going to be visualizing, and you also visualize. And try to remind them. And then as you're reading through it and you're reciting it, you visualize their consciousness going up. Only in this case, you don't need the ka because you're not bringing the consciousness back. You're just visualizing Amitabha Buddha up there, and you're saying with the hik, you're sending up their consciousness through their central channel up into Buddha Amitabha. So again, what is most important? So even if that person can't sit up because they're lying down, but when you do the practice, you visualize that they're standing. So you visualize them as the standing Vajrayogini, even if they're lying down. And then, but what's most important is that you have really a strong compassion and caring for them, and you really, really want to help them, and that you have completely unpolluted motivation of wanting to benefit them and loving, caring for them. That's really the most important. And then, and then in this case, you don't say ka, and you just say the hik, and you dissolve them into Buddha Amitabha.
「当我们为别人来修这个破瓦的时候，是怎么样做观想呢？当然，在这个时候不是自观，不是观自己，而是把注意力放在亡者身上，为他们持诵咒语，然后替他们做观想。那在这样做的时候，你可以事先告诉他们说，我现在即将要做这个，要做那个，所以他们可以知道你在做什么。那在我们刚刚在练习牵动这个明点的时候，神事的时候，我们 hik 结束之后有 ga， 但是在这个时候我们主要目的就是让他们神事出去，当然就不用念这个 ga 了。那就让 hik 在中脉中上去，然后到阿弥陀佛那边去。那最终那个至于观想，你可能想说，如果他们过世了，他们应该是躺着，那你要怎么做观想呢？我们要在这个时候要做的观想是站立的，就像金刚鱼泉母一般的是站立的，要发起强烈的这种悲心无染的动机为他们来做。那么他们自己的这个神识就消融在这个阿弥陀佛头顶阿弥陀佛的这个拇指里面。
这다다 땀 포화데 장 문에 가르스 그리고 제 나랑 포화 받는 로트 바지 마종나야 포화데 때서 장용 요잖아 찬찬이 송데 때서 그 핀토 용거 요래 때 가르스나 다 지마 마임바 저거 나랑 포화 잡나 때때 진송도 쓰이고 그러 춘에 포화를 중앙에 빠져나 대해서 갈래요 등아 나랑 때서 장용아 되나 마임바 저거 대주로 봐서 진소 쓰용도 대대서 그 야 진주 수용이요래 나랑 좀 참선 빼도 로충충 임박값을 사발레까지 제너라 얘나 디가우게 로바트서 맞아 되는데서요 라운드 양 진행도 사보야 대나 이세드는 다다페 포아 좀제 첨부 대자 마도나 양용화 잠게 빈도 첨부요.
Even if now, though we are practicing Phowa, if we don't have any big, signs of accomplishment and we don't really master the Phowa in this life, even so, just by virtue of the fact that we learned the Phowa and that we are getting some kind of familiarity and experience with it, that alone is of tremendous benefit, because at the time of death, even if we are not able to do Phowa for ourselves completely, when somebody else does Phowa for us, because we have that familiarity from when we were practicing Phowa, it's a lot easier for them to have a successful Phowa on our behalf, because it's like reminding us, and then we have some reference point because of our experience with the practice. So it's like, even if we can't do Phowa for ourselves with some great, signs of mastery, and we don't do it on our own, but somebody helps us at the time of our death by doing it on our behalf, because we have studied the Phowa practice, then we have some degree of exposure previously, which really does help, because at that time, then it will serve as a reminder for us. It's kind of like, maybe when we were young, we did some things and we forgot about them completely, but then later a friend from our past will remind us and say, remember when we were young and we did this and that, and then all of a sudden we can remember again what we had already forgotten. It's kind of like that. So it's much less difficult to do Phowa on somebody that's already had some familiarity with the Phowa practice than with somebody who's entirely new to it and doesn't have any basis or, reference to that.
如果我们在这一辈子修破瓦的时候没有任何的征兆，或没有这个具体的成就的话，这也有功德的。怎么说呢？只要我们很熟悉这个破瓦的修法，那这一样有大利益。当我们为亡者来修破瓦的时候，或者是我们自己将来过世别人帮我们修的时候，如果他们或我们在世的时候有修过破瓦，就容易多了，因为我们已经有某种程度的熟悉度，所以当别人修的时候，或我们帮亡者修的时候，他们就很容易提起这个意念起这个破瓦的这个过程。这就有点像这个小时候你可能做一些事情，会一些东西，但是久而久之就忘掉了。等到你的朋友过来跟你讲，哎，记得那个时候我们这样做吗？那你可能当人家一提醒一点醒你，你一下子就想起来，就意念起来了。所以在世的时候修破瓦也是有很大的好处跟利益的。
Tina yita Korang la sande mekpa ngarang ka tina yisi. Tini tiji ni tata ngarang tu jangwa na yisi laju sonda te ma lo. Laju sonda te lo tsawe jisu tini ya pa cho te se gore. Tini te yang ni yang tu se na cho re. Mekpa te yang ni yang tu song se na jik. Yang ten tambo ke kapsa pin ma to na, ten nipa ke kapsa pin towa tini yung si gore. Tini injok tu tsepa mela gomya ta teso go mare. Tini nguwa mola si demun du padu lo tini se yu cho re.
So like this, then you kind of help to explain to the dying person the visualization and what you're doing, and then you apply the visualization just as you learned it, and then you recite one time the lineage prayer, and then you go to the ejecting of the consciousness, and then you can just keep on repeating that, because and you just keep reaffirming the visualization and doing the ejecting of consciousness. And then even if it didn't work the first round, but the second round, it's possible that it will work. So like that, you don't have to do the Amitabha meditation at the end like you do when you're training in the practice. So when you complete the ejecting of the consciousness, then you can just simply go straight to the dedication prayers and aspirations and do like the concise prayer of aspiration to be born on Dewachen. Can you give the
윤대 통화도 양양 생각이 동네야.
You can still repeat again and again the short lineage prayer.
So,
when at the time of death, Rinpoche, when one is dying, or when one is doing the Phowa for somebody that is dying, should we go to the heart of Amitabha?
제가 고 말해. 제 대공로 야템송 짜면 되게요.
You don't need to visualize the consciousness going into the heart of Amitabha. Just feel that it dissolves into the big toe of Amitabha. That's fine.
所以当我们帮亡者来要修破瓦的时候，首先我们当然是跟他解说那个观想，然后再读诵这个观想，再念这个传承上师祈请文，然后再来移动他的这个神识，他的明点。那么再反复的这样子来观想，然后再移动这个明点。如果也可以在这个时候再念短的那个传承上师祈请文的这个部分。等到修好了之后呢，不必念长寿佛的部分，只可以就是直接跳到回向，然后念那个短轨的极乐愿文，这样子就可以了。那刚刚问的就是说，帮亡者修的时候，你那个神识是不是要进到这个观想神识进到那个阿弥陀佛的心间？上师的回答是不是的，就把这个亡者的神识消融在头顶的这个阿弥陀佛的脚拇指那边就可以了。
다다다다나데 퍼센테이지를 초네 저니다修个 값을 때 템렘 요래 템렘도 솔로데 값을 초와 간다 연거리 데 값을 몇 간다 무슨 거래 데 거때 라베 가만히 휴살라 퍼센트.
Now we will have a 20-minute break, and following the break, I want to talk to you about the dissolution phase when you die, like what you go through, like what the experiences and the feelings are through each stage of the dying process. But first, we'll take a 20-minute break.
我们现在就先休息20分钟，等到休息结束回来之后，会讲死亡中阴的过程当中消融的过程是怎么样，会发生什么事。
Yeah, there will be some time for that. If you want time for question and answer, then come back in 15 minutes.
休息15分钟，所以我多一点时间问问题。